It's a potato, man, but it ain't just a regular potato. This, it dates back to the 60s.
What is it, a musket?
It's a musketoon.
Does it play a song?
Chumlee is the comic relief of the hit show Pawn Stars. Allow me to show you though, sometimes Chumlee did good. Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video. Leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. 7. The Chumlee brand.
All right, I think I can figure that out.
Chumlee is very much an idiot, and that's something that does play out in both the show and in real life. But the truth of the matter is that his stupidity does end at certain points, mainly when it profits himself. You see, after the show got famous, and it was clear that Chumlee was one of the bigger stars of the show, he decided to double down on himself. He made a novelty store, one that sold items featuring himself and the other Pawn Stars members, and various other things that get bought by people who come to Las Vegas. It may seem simple, like Chumlee, but it actually worked in a very big way. The stuff was so successful that he was making a ton of cash, and he even wore some of the merchandise on Pawn Stars. So for all of his faults, he was actually rather smart in seeing the potential for branding himself. In fact, he was the only one of the Pawn Stars to do this for a long time. And though he had a troubled start with it, Chumlee also opened up a candy shop, one that is right across the street from Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. So he knew that good business is going where the people are and that the store would bring him business. But the smarts eventually ran out in regards to the novelty shop. Chumlee actually got tired of being the guy running it, so he sold partial ownership to Rick Harrison. And not only did Rick make the deal, he actually ran the shop better than Chumlee. So be honest with me, should we give him a full point of credit here? Or half a point because he didn't maintain interest in it? You tell me. 6. The potato.
It's a potato, man, but it ain't just a regular potato. This, it dates back to the 60s.
One of the more infamous and hilarious buys in Pawn Stars history did indeed feature Chumlee, and not in the way that you might expect. For this time, he honestly didn't make a bad buy. He took a bad buy and made it something to remember. Sean Price came into the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop as a man on a mission. A mission to sell a potato. Seriously, that's what he had. He had a potato. Okay, it wasn't just a potato. It was a potato that he claimed was actually thrown at and hit Martin Luther King Jr. King was one of the biggest voices of the civil rights movement and was a figure who's revered for his activism to this day. So if this had indeed been a potato that had come in contact with him, it honestly would be worth something. One problem, there was no documentation or proof that this was indeed a potato that did what Price claimed it did. And Chumlee honestly knew that. And thank goodness, because not even he could be that dumb. Well, I'll move on. Despite Sean Price asking for $100,000 for it, Chumlee bought the potato for $2.25, and Price seemed fine with that. You almost have to wonder what happened to that potato. 5. Samurai swords.
I know that I don't know enough to buy them without calling somebody.
You just bought those?
Yes, I did.
Swords are something that are both obsolete, yet treasured by people of the world. They represent a much simpler time, and an era long before the invention of gunpowder. Owning a sword is pretty cool, as long as you don't hurt yourself. But owning a true antique of a sword can be rare, and you might not see one in your lifetime. Not to mention, there are people who make modern equivalents and sometimes pawn them off as their antique counterparts, so keeping a watchful eye out for them is critical, which is where Chumlee comes in. A customer brought in a set of samurai swords one day, and Chumlee was blown away by them. So much so that in fact he actually spent $4,000 roughly on the pair, and when the Harrisons found out about it, they weren't happy. Even Corey was convinced that they were duds, and he's always had Chumlee's back. Rick was so mad about this, despite Chumlee insisting that they were valuable, that he went to a local expert to get clarification on what was real, what was fake, and what was the cost. But the joke was on Rick Harrison in this very rare case, as the expert revealed that not only were these real, but they were made by known makers, and one of them was even dated to have been made in the 1400s. To be fair, one of the swords was thought to have been faked in terms of the marking that it was branded with, but the sword itself was still valuable. All told, the expert stated that the swords were worth $13,000, a very nice amount even with the price that Chumlee paid for the swords. Was Rick happy? No, not really. For as he told Chumlee, it doesn't take skill to win at a slot machine. Maybe next time, Chumlee. 4. Seeing the fake.
Willie Mays uniform. I got his jersey with the matching pants underneath.
Okay, this particular one wasn't that Chumlee made a deal on or earned money on, but it was very interesting observation that should have been noted when a certain deal was going down. A pair of customers came in while Corey and Chumlee was on watch, and they claimed to have a Willie Mays jersey. Mays is a Hall of Famer in Major League Baseball and set records in home runs, fielding, and even stolen bases. Having a jersey from him would be a big deal. And yet something was off about the jersey, and it wasn't Corey who picked up on it, it was Chumlee. He noted that the jersey might have been worn by Mays in theory, but the seller said that it was game-worn, as in Mays wore this during a game, and yet Chumlee noticed that it was far too clean to have been game-worn. He even noted how Mays was known for stealing bases, not to mention that he was an outfielder, so getting in the dirt was almost a requirement back in those days of Major League Baseball. True, not every game would have Mays seeing that kind of action, but it would likely be the kind of jersey kept around for one reason or another. But not so ironically, Corey didn't listen to Chumlee and spent $31,000 on the jersey, which was a big mistake. Because not only was the jersey not worth that much, it was later found out that Mays had never worn this jersey at all. You can't blame Corey for not listening to Chumlee, as he's literally the least experienced guy at the shop. But on this case, listening to him would have saved him and the store lots of money. 3. White swords.
There we go.
Ooh-wee, that thing looks sweet.
Oh, that's nice. No chips in it, nothing.
Came out perfect, no flaws.
It's fair to say that one of the biggest staples of Pawn Stars is that Rick will give Chumlee an order or a mission, and Chumlee will utterly screw it up. Literally, that's his trademark, and he's done it more times than Rick can count, and Rick can count pretty high. But in one case with a samurai sword, Chumlee actually did good by not listening to Rick. Rick had bought on his own a 17th century katana, but it wasn't for sale in the shop. Rather, Rick personally sent the sword to Japan for the sole purpose of getting it fully restored and being an item in the shop for people to just look at and not to buy. This was made very clear to both Chumlee and Corey, who were there when the sword was returned to Rick. He noted that the sword itself was around $35,000 in terms of worth now and was not to be sold. But then a man by the name of Dana White entered the gold and silver pawn shop. You know, the owner of UFC, one of the most popular combat sports on the planet. Anyway, he was looking for a classic sword to buy, and Chumlee didn't hesitate 1 second to offer up Rick's do not sell sword. To his detriment, he didn't get $35,000 for the sword. He only got $30,000. But he got Dana White to purchase another $30,000 worth of other swords, thus increasing the profits made. Plus, when Rick asked Dana to come back to talk about the sword he wasn't supposed to buy, Rick got him to buy another sword for $9,000. So yeah, not listening to Rick in this case got the store about $70,000 in bought items. Dollars to donuts though, Rick is still mad about the sword being sold. 2. Standing in line.
Mr. Lee meets Mr. Lee. I mean, this is a great iconic moment. I can't wait.
Comic books are a very tricky thing to buy and sell, because unless their quality, rarity, and authenticity can be verified, they're not worth much more than the paper they were made on. In fact, buying and selling comics that had just come out was actually the cause of the crash in the comic market in the 1990s. But people still try and bring comics into shops like Pawn Stars because they feel it can get them money. Chumlee has made some bad deals on comic purchases in the past, but one time got himself a gold star in an unexpected manner. A customer came in with an enlarged comic book panel, which was given out for promotional reasons at the time. But the real selling point was that it was signed by two comic legends, artist John Romita, whose son is a legend himself in the comics industry, and the one and only Stan Lee. Usually, seeing a Stan Lee signature would be enough for anyone to make a deal, even if it's fake, especially if it's Chumlee. But to his credit, he didn't do that. He actually did something rather smart. He knew that Stan Lee was in town and actually took the customer to meet him. And when they showed him the panels, Stan Lee went full nostalgia and actually recalled him and John signing the panels, proving that it was real. Chumlee got this item for $5,000, which is a steal given the prominence of Lee and Ramana in the comics world. And whoever has that panel page now has likely an even greater item in terms of price because of the recent passing of Stan Lee. 1. Tupac's BMW.
I think you should really think about this.
You call Bill up and maybe get some advice from him?
All right, I'm going to do that right now.
Cars are a tricky thing in the world of pawn because it's not something you can openly deal with unless you know someone who definitely wants it. But there are exceptions. Mainly classic cars, rare cars, and celebrity-owned cars. And Chumlee just so happened to find a car owned by the legendary and infamous rapper known simply as Tupac. Tupac was a true legend of the rap game, and alongside Notorious B.I.G., who were actually rivals on different coasts, they helped define rap for years to come, and their passings under very mysterious circumstances are still talked about today. Therefore, anything Tupac owned is high value, right? Except that Chumlee had brought Rick to get a BMW, not exactly a high-caliber car. Except that this was the literal car that Tupac was in when the drive-by happened that would eventually claim his life. It had been restored a bit, but the owners had proof that it was indeed Tupac's car. And when their local appraiser came in to give value to the car, he noted that it could be worth almost $1 million. Sadly, the deal couldn't be done, as the owners wanted much more than Rick was willing to offer. However, Chumlee proved that he did know a valuable car, and even Rick noted that he had learned something from Chumlee that day which, quote, is a pretty rare occasion. So not a big win in the money books, but in the pride books, it's a big score. And there you have it. Times Chumlee honestly did really good on Pawn Stars. How much do you give credit to Chumlee? Or does he deserve any credit at all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you around.